Hello, peace to everyone out there in Bookland. I'm Kenny Baraka, and I'll be your host for the official World Book Day Book Club. And I'm absolutely delighted, overjoyed, I can't stop shaking hands in my pants, to be joined by this month's World Book Day Book Club author, Sarah Ann Juckes. Now, Sarah is the author of the deeply moving and rather hopeful novel, The Hunt for the Nightingale, our April World Book Day Book Club title. But before we visit the proverbial Oz, let's start with learning a little bit about the wizard. Can you tell us a bit about yourself, Sarah?
Hi, I'm Sarah Ann Juckes. I'm the author of The Hunt for the Nightingale, which is beautifully illustrated throughout by Sharon King-Chai. A little bit about me. I've been writing ever since I was a little girl, really. I love writing. I love talking to people about writing and books as well. And I'm so looking forward to chatting to you today all about The Hunt for the Nightingale and about books in general.
Without, of course, giving away too much, what can you tell us about the book, The Hunt for the Nightingale?
Yeah, so The Hunt for the Nightingale is a contemporary adventure, and it follows 9-year-old Jasper as he walks across the countryside looking for his missing sister and bird at the motorway services. It's illustrated throughout by Sharon King-Chai, so there's some beautiful illustrations all the way through it, which I absolutely love. And it's also full of bird facts as well, so you can learn lots about the birds you might find in your garden from this book too.
I like this. This is rather intriguing. Okay, can you tell us a bit about the book, again, without giving too much away, but particularly this time about what inspired the themes of loss, searching, and finding, and their connection to wildlife?
Yeah, so a bit about writing this book. I came up with the idea a few years ago when I was watching an episode of Springwatch, which is a BBC programme all about wildlife. And it featured a real story of a nightingale that had got lost at a motorway service station. And I'd never heard a nightingale sing before, and I was just so overwhelmed by such a beautiful thing being found in such an unlikely place. And then Jasper's whole story just came to me immediately, and I knew that I just had to write how you can find beautiful things in difficult times and also unlikely places too. So I wrote the whole book actually in a week, although it took me a lot longer to edit it. And all the way through, there were the theme of loss is really apparent throughout it. So there was that was really important for me to kind of bring it into how nature can be a really healing kind of entity for us and help us through difficult situations, especially as I then wrote it, we had a pandemic and we were forced into a lockdown situation, and we were all discovering the wildlife that was in our back gardens as well, and dealing with loss in these different ways, whether or not that was loss of family members or whether it was loss of the pleasures that we normally get and the freedoms we normally get from life. During that time, I found nature and birds especially as a brilliant way to escape that situation. And it was just really important for me to bring some of that joy into the book as well.
Can you now maybe tell us a bit about Jasper and Rosie's Big Book of Birds?
Yeah, so Jasper and Rosie's Big Book of Birds is a book that they've been writing for ages and forever. It's a book that it's like a scrapbook, I suppose, filled with memories of the times they've had together and the adventures that they've had. And it's also a way for Jasper to record the birds that he's seen and facts about them, as well as sticking in mementos and things like that. What's really important for Jasper about that book of birds is that it's kind of a form of escapism for him from his anxiety. So as someone who suffers from anxiety myself, I can also say that books are an incredible resource for me to be able to escape from anxiety and panic attacks, and also as a way to calm myself down. And that's exactly what Jasper does with his book of birds in the book as well. It's also a great way of kind of finding out, when you're reading the book, it's a great way of kind of refinding about all the brilliant things that are exciting about birds. And birds are just magnificent things. Like, one of my favourite facts is that there are more chickens on Earth than there are people, which I think is an extraordinary thing. And the more you learn about birds, the more there is to love about them. So I definitely, researching this book, just love birds by the end of that.
Okay, no. With most authors starting out somewhere in their past, in their youth, as readers, what would you say is your favorite book? And why?
My favourite book of all time is actually Peter Pan and Wendy by J.M. Barrie. I just love this book because it's just so different from anything else you will read, and actually very different from the Disney films and also any other films you've seen of Peter Pan. It's quite dark. There's lots of children running around and kind of talking about killing pirates and having adventures away from grown-ups. And I just love the writing in it and how unusual it is. I love this kind of exploration of the themes in there of kind of like time and how time can be stopped still in different ways. It's an incredible book, and I collect editions of them now. So I have probably about 12 editions of Peter Pan in various forms and the illustrations of them. And my prized possession is actually a 1907 edition of Peter Pan in Kensington Gardens, which is beautifully illustrated by Arthur Rackham, and I bought that for myself when I got my first publishing deal, and it is my prized possession. It's beautiful.
Okay, so here at World Book Day, being the foodies we are, we love to combine our love and passion for reading with that of snacking. What snack would you suggest be best partaking with the reading of this book?
I love reading and snacking as well. So with this book though, so Jasper, when he's going on his walk, he's very interested in what it is that will help someone go on an adventure. And he says it's very, very important to make sure that you are eating the right kind of food when you're going on an adventure, which I remember from when I've been going on very long walks myself. So I think the best food to eat whilst reading this book would be something along the lines of what Jasper calls his seedy nut bars, which are a little bit like cereal bars. So kind of nut-based bars with lots of seeds and lots of packed full of energy that will keep you going for a long time. He also is a big fan of bananas as well, which will also do the same thing. But then also, I mean, it is in the book as well, and I have to say this is my personal favourite, chocolate biscuit bars. You can't go wrong with a good biscuit.
Now, Sarah, if you could pose one question to the World Book Day book clubs out there about The Hunt for the Nightingale, what would that question be? What would you ask of them? What do you want to know about their take on the book?
So my book club question to readers of The Hunt for the Nightingale is to think about what birds that you might recognise from the book that you've seen in your own back garden. So Jasper walks directly outside his house and goes on his adventure, and it's very much an exploration of his local area. So thinking about the book in itself and how that relates to your local area, what have you spotted before? What kind of birds are local to you, and what is brilliant about them?
Okay, well, thank you so much, Sarah, for joining us for this month's World Book Day Book Club. Thank you to all of you out there in Bookland for joining us as well. We hope you've had a fantastic time thinking, talking hopefully, and hearing about books. And please, if you can, please, you must, let us know your thoughts on Hunt for the Nightingale. Peace.